phobic shit, but when you're called out, you're like, oh, that's just not what I meant. Just fucking own it. We already know you're a fucking transphobe. Just own it, you dumb fuck. You took him out of context. It's so stupid. Like, what is your fucking fear there in that situation? Like, you've already outed yourself as being a fucking moron, and not just because you're a transphobe, but like because you're a Ben Shapiro fan. So you've already you have. Don't worry, you can be as stupid as you want going forward. We're definitely going to make fun of you regardless because you're a Ben Shapiro fan. You are literally defending Ben Shabibo.
Transgender. That is the only headline that is positive about this person. This person also happens to have been the Secretary of Health and Human Services in the state of Pennsylvania, who shipped COVID-positive old people back into nursing homes. So on the con side would be killed a bunch of olds.
Wait, I'm sorry. That's really interesting that Ben's saying that, because if I recall, Ben was saying, you know, if the economy gets started, but if you're over the age of 78, you know, and they die, if old people die, then they're living on borrowed time anyway. Of course, not understanding how average life expectancies work, and if people immediately started dying after the age of 78, then that would lower the average life expectancy. But that's basic mathematics, so that's going to be very difficult for Ben to comprehend with his big city lawyer degree from Harvard. But that's rather strange. Huh. Interesting.
In Pennsylvania via COVID. And on the pros would be, is a man who believes that he is a
Ben Shapiro suggests older people dying of COVID-19 is tragic, but also not so bad. Oh, yeah, by the way, he did say that, you dumb fucks.
Trying to balance the risks and rewards here is a difficult thing. The easiest thing you can do is say all damages caused are caused by the pandemic. All of the good things that are happening, like you being alive, that is caused by me, right? It's sort of the Gretchen Whitmer strategy in Michigan. And that's a very easy thing to say. But in reality, you know, not only are there countervailing issues on the other side, such as the fact that, you know, people are going to lose their jobs and their livelihoods and their dreams, and quality of life actually matters. But none of these governors are going to keep things locked down forever. I mean, Andrew Cuomo, when he said just save one life, 5 days later, he's saying we're going to open up parts of New York State. Okay, so which is it? I mean, obviously that means that more people are going to be infected. So we're always going to make this public policy consideration. Nobody just wants to say the obvious truth, which is that we're all making actuarial deductions about what are the costs in terms of how many human lives, how many years of life, because that is an actual issue in actuarial tables, right? If somebody who is 81 dies of COVID-19, that is not the same thing as somebody who is 30 dying of COVID-19. I mean, if this were killing children, everyone would be in for lockdown forever. That's the reality, right? If a bunch of 5-year-olds were dying of COVID-19 and people were saying get back to work, I'd be like, nope, I'm not letting my 5-year-old die. If grandma dies in a nursing home at age 81, that's tragic and it's terrible. Also, the life expectancy in the United States is 80. So that is not the same thing. In moral terms, you want to save every life you can. At the same time, to pretend that it is of the same calculation, the age of the person, no public policy acts like that. Not a single public policy in American life acts like that. Trying to balance.
But here he is again criticizing public policy after he already said that, you know, these healthcare considerations from epidemiologists factors in actuarial decisions on what happens with people's life expectancy. So that's kind of weird. I mean, I think it's a heartless thing to fucking openly state, right? Especially because regardless, the entire purpose of healthcare policy is to minimize deaths no matter what happens. Okay. But if that's your position and you are understanding of that, if you understand like, well, some people over the age of 81 or some people over the age of 78 are going to fucking die, which would be literally the death panel argument that Republicans also used to make against Obamacare, then why the fuck are you shitting on someone who allowed older people to go back to care facilities after they had gotten COVID. Isn't that something that, or maybe it's just because, you know, it's a Democrat doing it. I got it. Which is what it is. Like that's basically what it is. It's like when a Republican does it, it's all right. When a Democrat does it, it's not all right. And I'm going to criticize it no matter what.
We have heard from Janet Yellen and people in the economic side of the Biden administration that they wish to immediately rethink American policy on the basis of quote unquote racial equity, which is to suggest discrimination, right? Because the idea here is not that we are going to try to create a functioning economy that works and that generates prosperity. The idea is going to be that if there's inequality between racial groups, that can be rectified by redistributionism between racial groups via economic policy. Now, we've heard that Joe Biden wants to put back in place the entire team that negotiated the Iran nuclear deal, a deal that was, in fact, so damaging to a lot of our allies in the Middle East that it ended up almost solving the Israeli-Arab dispute because so many people hated the Iran nuclear deal. And his allies in Congress are encouraging him that if he can't get congressional support for this sort of stuff, as James Clyburn suggested, he should just...
The Iran nuclear deal is probably one of the greatest foreign policy accomplishments that the Obama administration had. I've been incredibly critical of the Obama administration's foreign policy decisions. Outside of that, Iran was following the terms of that denuclearization agreement, regardless of the fact that America literally fucking said under Donald Trump that they were going to pull out of it. They still kept following it, according to third-party investigators from Europe. But it doesn't really matter. Ben Shabibo does not care about this at all, and he thinks that America should be able to renege on deals for no reason and just rip them for no reason other than the fact that we are America. How the fuck are you ever going to ever have peace deals conducted with countries that you consider to be foreign adversaries ever again if, you know, the next time someone else fucking becomes president, they could just like shit on it? It's great.
Just go ahead and do it from the top.
If they're going to be recalcitrant, if they're going to throw up roadblocks...
Iran agreed to denuke, but they're still making nukes. KW. Iran literally agreed to denuclearize. They followed through on their end of that bargain. They literally followed through on that. Even after Donald Trump became president and said he's going to throw it out. And even after Donald Trump threw it out, Iran was still following through on the denuclearization agreement. But it doesn't fucking matter because Donald Trump followed through, put sanctions. By the way, Democrats voted on those sanctions as well, for the record. Literally fucking put sanctions on Iran despite the fact that they were following their end of the bargain. Okay? Of course, there is a country with a robust nuclear program. That country's name is Israel, but we will never talk about that because Israel is America's ally. So there it is. Believing Iran, lol W. Man, shut the fuck up. Why the fuck should Iran ever believe America, bitch? This way of operating as though like other countries are not autonomous and that there aren't like human beings with their own thoughts and with their own interests of preserving themselves in these other countries is so fucking tired. Like, believing Iran, lol W. Why would Iran believe America? Build all the fucking nukes you want going forward. Why in the ever-loving fuck should Iran ever bargain with the United States of America ever again in any fucking terms whatsoever? Build the fucking nukes all goddamn day now. We don't have this kind of conversation around Pakistan. Why, I wonder? They're a brown country, right? Because they already have the nukes. Israel literally went forward and assassinated a fucking top scientist on Iranian soil. It's like completely fucking beyond the pale. The shit that both America and Israel has done to Iran is literally completely unacceptable. Completely fucking unacceptable.
Go on without them. Use your executive authority if they refuse to cooperate.
Is that unity? Does that sound like truth versus lies? That brings us to the final question here, which is, okay, what do we do about it? As conservatives, what do we do about all of this stuff? Alrighty, so Joe Biden tends to put me to sleep. I mean, he tends to put himself to sleep. But if he puts you to sleep and you actually need to stay awake, you do it.
What the fuck is he selling? Oh my God.
Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and such to be bringing them into tens of millions of homes.
Right? We are seeing this in social media as well directly, where the tech bros have decided that they are simply going to cave to the Democrats in the hope that they will be left alone, or they actually agree with Democrats that a lot of the language they don't like is now going to be considered dangerous and ought to be banned. Okay, so what do we do about it? One, make sure that you...
Listen, man, miss me with this bullshit. Anything that Ben Shapiro says about tech censorship is complete lie, okay? One, the Daily Wire literally wrote like 8 fucking articles on me with the 9/11 Dan Crenshaw shit, specifically to try to get me banned. 2, Ben Shapiro is a massive advocate for the Canary mission, okay, which is literally an institution built, an organization built specifically to dox people that they declare to be anti-Semitic. Some of those people are white supremacists and anti-Semitic, by the way. Don't get me wrong. There is legitimate anti-Semites and legitimate fucking fascists they're doxing. But then there's also random fucking brown people that are like registered nurses or some shit, and they've keyword searched Jew on their fucking profile to be like, all right, it's over. This guy's a fucking anti-Semite, kick this guy out of his job. So this notion that like, or BDS activist, by the way, which is the greatest part about it all. So Ben Shapiro claiming to be a fucking free speech advocate is a laughable notion, considering how much he fucking cries about boycott, divestment, and sanctions on the state of Israel, and how much BDS activists should deserve to get fucking fired from their positions. So get the fuck out of here. Tech censorship absolutely destroys the left way more than it fucking destroys Ben Shabibo. Mr. Ben Shabibo is literally straight up benefiting from Facebook, for example, working with the Heritage Foundation early on in consulting for tech censorship, a problem that they created. Conservatives consistently talk about tech censorship as a way to game the system in their favor, okay? That's all this is. It's kind of like how conservatives say elections are under attack, election integrity is under attack, so that they can justify voter suppression measures. This is how it works. They cry about tech censorship so that they can continue dominating the fucking algorithms. And it's very successful.
Actually get out and work for Republican congressional candidates in 2022. There is another election coming up. The party out of power typically does very well in the off-year elections. Right now, the Democrats have the slimmest governing majority in the House of Representatives in several generations. That can easily be flipped. But that means the Republicans have to get out there and work. They don't just have to get out there and work for candidates. They have to pressure their legislatures and legislators at the state level to redo how voting is done so we don't have the fiasco that was universal mail-in balloting this time. It means better voter verification.
Universal mail-in balloting was a fiasco is such a fucking indecent, hack, fraudulent fucking thing to say. It's such an indecent thing to say. It is literally, you're just saying that you don't want people to vote. That's all you are fucking saying. That's all you are doing. That's all you are saying. Any sane country should hear, in any other country, if we were a sane country, we would hear someone say this and go, oh, fuck that guy. That guy hates democracy. Okay, suck my dick and move on. And yet, here in America, that is a legitimate point of contention. Wow.
Verification. It means voter ID. It is to suggest you need to vote on the day that the election is held, and you better have a good excuse for not doing it that way. And it better be you when you actually vote, right? That would help as well. You need to get Senator Joe Manchin on your speed dial. So Senator Joe Manchin is the sole force right now militating against the death of the filibuster in the United States Senate. If he starts to waver on that, I'm going to give you his phone number right now. If you're a West Virginian citizen particularly, you need to sound off to your senator if he starts to waver on that principle 1 iota. His number is 304-342-5855. You're going to have to hold his feet to the fire to stop him from violating...
No, that's not doxing, guys. Come on. It's like their office. Of course, that's normal. Stop being babies. It's not doxing. That's like literally his fucking office number. And it's a completely normal thing to get people to engage in these sorts of call campaigns. It's pretty funny though that he is a Republican trying to get Republican watchers in his audience to call a Democratic senator. Tells you a lot about Joe Manchin and where he stands on the political spectrum. But that's besides the point, of course. All right, let's keep going.
Fundamental norms in getting rid of the filibuster. Once the filibuster is gone, Democrats can, with a simple 50 plus Kamala Harris vote, add states like Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, adding 4 Democratic senators. They can move.
Oh my God, that would be so terrifying if there was more representation. Honestly, again, I am literally shaking, dude. I am shitting my pants. I'm shitting, pissing, and coming, thinking about more representation from areas and territories. Wow, fuck, that would be disastrous, dude. Disastrous. Absolutely unacceptable.
Forward theoretically with packing the Supreme Court. They could move forward with completely rewriting broad swaths of American law. So Joe Manchin stands between the Republic in that sense and a sort of crack up that faces us if, with the barest of bare majorities, Democrats start cramming down extraordinary top-down policy. States that are red should start protecting their citizens from the predations of national institutions. If the social media bros decide that they are simply going to violate the sort of free speech rights that you would have were this a public sector company by cracking down on dissent in monopolistic fashion, right? Coordinating and then all deciding that certain views are out of the debate and out of the domain of normal public discourse, states are going to have to step in. You've started to see this in some states, proposals being put forth that any ISP that discriminates, any cable provider that discriminates on the basis of politics, any social media network that discriminates on the basis of politics will not be able to operate in a particular state. That restrictions will be placed on those companies. I'm not a fan of using this sort of interventionism with regard to these companies. But if the companies have basically centralized all the power to control your speech in the public forum, then I don't see a whole hell of a lot of protections outside of state governments, especially if the federal government is forcing a lot of this. Conservatives are going to have to get very active.
Wait, by the way, guys, Ben Shabibo was anti-net neutrality. Like, I'm not even kidding. Ben Shabibo was literally advocating against net neutrality, which Ajit Pai, Donald Trump's FCC, head of FCC, repealed. Ben Shabibo, while that was happening, straight up was against net neutrality. And not only that, but I have a video on it. Like, I literally did a video on Ben Shabibo being anti-net neutrality, which was so psychotic that even his audience was getting mad at him over. I actually have the fucking... I actually have the receipts, like, literally right here.
Given how the internet has become...
Here it is.
Such an important part of how we learn. So I don't believe in net neutrality.
I'm not just going to talk about net neutrality today, which died this past week. I'm also going to use this clip to illustrate how Ben Shapiro covers net neutrality with incredibly disingenuous framing to manipulate his viewers into believing standing against net neutrality is not only the logical opinion, but the one that will more effectively help the little guy. And then he also frames it against liberals, as if only liberals are against net neutrality, when 83% of the country was against it.
It was only put into place in the last couple of years of the Obama administration. And before that, the internet was working just fine.
How intellectually dishonest of you to never once mention why these regulations were put into place to begin with. So let me do that instead. Net neutrality was established under Obama after consumers found out that Verizon was throttling Netflix's speed right around the time that Verizon was also entering the content space with their own video streaming service to compete with, wait for it, Netflix! Verizon Go 90 is what it's called, which, by the way, we also have a show on. What Ben's fighting against here is basically the will of the people. It's grassroots mobilization in the democratic process actually working. Net neutrality is an incredibly popular idea consumers wanted, competing against $15 million of lobbying in the interest of big corporations. But go on, Ben, tell us more.
Net neutrality is basically the suggestion that internet service providers have to supply traffic, supply all use of traffic the same price. So Netflix, which eats up an enormous amount of bandwidth, has to be charged the same as some schmo in his basement who is just loading up his blog.
Yeah, you're right, Ben. Netflix is using the same $50 a month internet package that I use to post my hashtag MCN thirst traps on Instagram, but instead to run their global video streaming operation. By the way, follow me on Instagram. How dumb do you think your audience is, Ben? Also, Netflix is already paying ransom money for...
God, I'm so cringe. I can't even watch this anymore. Anyway, but yeah, the point is he was pro net neutrality, he was anti net neutrality, and now he is in favor of it because he's a disingenuous asshat who only defends Republicans And that's pretty much what he does. And that's it. That's pretty much all there needs to be said about this situation. Oh, so fucking cringe. Holy shit. I was cringe too. You want to watch the rest of it? Go ahead.
Bandwidth that they use. Repealing net neutrality will allow ISPs to do that not just to Netflix, but to every company, including the schmoes, as you call it, and charge additional money to all apps and small businesses, essentially destroying the meritocracy that the internet has been thus far. The internet was a free market, Ben. Why change that? Don't you love the free market?
The reality is that if you're taking up a huge share of the bandwidth, then there might be companies that say, we will provide you a faster access, but you have to pay more money.
Ben Shapiro describes how high-speed internet packages work. Liberals are triggered. Oh!
It's not incumbent on internet service providers to be forced to be treated like public utilities.
Except they are public utilities, Ben, and should be treated as such, since they need an incredible amount of infrastructural support from the government.
The way to think of it is that internet service providers are like the pipes.
Wait, Ben, that sounds a lot like a public utility, like water.
The content of the internet is like water.
Oh. That's a public utility, you moron! You'd think they teach you how to argue better at Harvard Law!
So you can think of it in two ways. It's a public utility. Everybody should be able to turn on the tap at the same time and get the water.
Yeah, which is how it was enforced under net neutrality.
Or that the pipe company should be able to charge you what they want, or charge the water company what it wants for the water moving through the pipes.
Which is what will happen now that net neutrality has been repealed.
It's not quite like a pipe.
Wait, what? But you just said it was like a pipe a moment ago. Is it a pipe or is it not a pipe?
Because you can have multiple pipes, right? There are multiple internet service providers.
Except there aren't multiple internet service providers. Just look at this map of Minneapolis where two companies have split this entire city like a gang war. Or look at LA where Time Warner and Charter are basically like the Bloods and Crips. Gang gang. Dab on them. Oh wait, that's an old map. Those two companies actually merged to provide the absolute shittiest service to me under the new brand Spectrum. Fuck you, Spectrum.
One of the reasons that net neutrality has become
Yeah, I fucking dabbed. Shut up.
such an issue is because of special deals with local governments by a lot of the internet service providers. So they're the only providers in their region.
I'm gonna stop you right here, Ben. First off, the fact that there's no competition isn't just local government deals, you lying sack of shit. That's one of those mergers these massive ISPs love. These ISPs you're trying to paint as the victims here. More importantly though, Ben is using one of his key debate tactics here, and it's important for you and everyone else to see it, because he loves leading us down these rabbit holes with these bullshit, oversimplified analogies that he delivers with conviction as though they're remotely realistic. They're not. It's not even a rabbit hole because that would imply there's depth to Ben's arguments. So I'm just gonna call it the Ben hole, where you build an argument around a faulty analogy and then launch retorts from this new world you created, and anyone trying to dismantle your concepts have to do it from Ben's hole. So now that we've identified this, I'm not gonna waste any more time trying to correct his insane talking points and address the larger concepts that he's trying to advance.
If there were open competition, you would actually see competition, like older people who only want to watch TV but don't actually want to use Netflix or Hulu. They should be able to get the internet cheaper.
Yeah, there isn't competition, you're right about that, except the payment structure you're pushing for already exists within cheaper, lower bandwidth options. If you only use the internet for checking emails, then you buy a slower package. If you binge watch anime like me, you buy the fastest package possible and then get angry during peak hours when they slow your internet down anyway.
There's nothing wrong with any of this. This is why when people say it's a corporate giveaway to get rid of net neutrality, there are major corporations like Google and Netflix who basically want to prevent smaller companies from being able to take advantage of differential pricing on ISPs to compete with them.
You're providing zero evidence to Google and Netflix's nefarious reasons, while then trying to paint them as big corporations against, what, the little guy that is Verizon and Spectrum? What's going on in your hole, Ben? You make it seem as though ending net neutrality will somehow benefit consumers, but the truth is that ending net neutrality will only stand to make ISPs able to control the internet services in an even more tyrannical way. It's like saying getting rid of the Last Jedi will allow the Empire to finally control the universe in a way that benefits consumers.
Bottom line is the internet was fine before anybody started messing with it. The odd passion over net neutrality has always puzzled me.
This is literally the whole dumb argument wrapped up into one sentence. Don't be fooled by the pizzazz Ben Shapiro has. He's no gladiator, unlike what the New York Times would suggest. He's simply doing what he does best, which is defending the interests of big corporations and the wealthy against the interest of you, the actual little guy. So if you're like me and you're fed up seeing Ben Shapiro all over your timeline, please share this video with your friends and also leave me a comment telling me if you want me to continue doing more Ben Shapiro videos. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Hassan D. Piker and on Twitter at Hassan the Hun. And this has been The Breakdown.
Shut up. I did a fucking, yes. Yes. I did a Star Wars reference too. I hit all the fucking cringe notes.
In the legal arena, Democrats have for decades used the power of the judicial branch in order to get policy done that they couldn't get done at the legislative level. People on the
Pure projection from Ben Shabibo here, by the way. Yes, that's literally shot inside of a fucking closet. Fuck you. No, it's not frozen rice. I got a drink before at some point, but
on the right need to coordinate in terms of the lawsuits that they are filing in order to uphold their rights in the face of discrimination on the basis of religion or violation of freedom of religion, on the basis of free speech rights. And all these things are going to have to get litigated in court. And then finally, on an interpersonal level, we're going to have to talk with one another. We're going to have to stop hunkering down in the silos that we've built for ourselves, and we are going to actually have to start talking with one another, convincing.
Seems like my main man Shabibo no longer has any power, or at least his will a little worried that his will not be represented in the administration. So now he's like, come on, we gotta fucking talk to one another, dude. Come on. Sounds like fucking loser talk to me, brother. That's what it sounds like. Smells like fucking loser in here, dude. Guess what? Sorry, you lost, bitch. This notion that, like, we gotta fucking talk to Republicans or we gotta spare Republicans of their feelings. Yeah, fuck that.
One another, treating each other with respect. Weirdly enough, that's exactly what Joe Biden advocated for in his inaugural address. I hope that he takes it seriously. I certainly do. And I hope that we have those conversations. If we do, then I think that the next few years could actually be bright. I think that we could actually start moving beyond the partisan polarization that we have seen. I don't have a lot of faith that that's what's going to happen, but I think that if you engage with your neighbors and with your family, then that is the best possible outcome, and that will shift hearts and that will shift minds and will make people more conservative over the course of time. Final note, there's one other thing you should do, and that is you should support alternative institutions to the institutions that exist and are discriminating against conservatives and intend to crack down on conservatives. If you don't like the establishment media...
Oh my gosh, shut the fuck up, bitch. I'm done with that. Okay. Now that we've done Ben Shabibo, I need to watch this Run, Fight, Hide official trailer. This is what his company's doing with their dollars.
In between breath, take the shot.
You've done really good out there, kid. The size of that deer, we're gonna be eating venison all summer.
On a day's work.
I think we need to see somebody again.
And by we, you mean me?
No, I mean us. Hey, that look in your eye. Guys in my unit had that look.
Maybe there's a brochure you can hand me so I can go?
Slick and compulsively watchable. That's so good. Those are... That's a take about a movie. Compulsively watchable.
Is that Chris Jellick over there?
Is he doing something completely weird? Senior prank day. But we'll see all kinds of dumb stuff today. Swim captain will have Thai food delivered to class, and Becky Vaughn will set up her homemade slip and slide.
This is high school. Nothing that happens here matters in the real world.
Okay, we are in charge now, so please pull out whichever app you use to do live streaming video. Get them up and running and point it at me. Now!
Get down on the ground! Any more friends back there?
I'm calling 911.
Get back to your homeroom and stay put until
You must be close.
The funniest part about it is that like school shooters are almost always like, or at least all the school shooters so far in the past couple of years have been like fucking Trump supporters. So kind of weird for Ben Shapiro to call out his fans like this by making a video, making a movie about school shooters.
You should be ashamed!
Very disturbing news out of Vernon Central High School.
Zoe. In between breath, take a shot.
Is it safe to say that this might be our guardian angel? Do you want more people to die?
That's the last thing I want.
I'm gonna kill one person in this room every 5 minutes. You don't show your face.
Isn't it ironic that after all your hard work...
Bro, this is literally Kid Die Hard, dude. This is literally Child Die Hard. Awesome. It's like Chud Die Hard too.
People aren't gonna remember you.
Oh my God, is the dad coming to protect them? Oh, dude, conservative Pop. He's coming to protect them with a deer hunter gun.
No?
They're gonna remember me.
This is awesome. Can you show the chest so I don't... Chat, stop fucking crying. I did bring a drink back, okay? Shut the fuck up. If you keep crying about the fucking gambling, you're never gonna get gambling. You're gonna ruin it for yourselves again. Alright, let's watch some fun shit now.
This is our only chance. We have to take it.
Oh, this is sick.
We need calm. The world needs him. To stop what's coming. And this child, she's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her.
We need Monka!
And I think that in some way, Kong did the same. It's Godzilla.
These are dangerous times.
Godzilla's out there and he's hurting people and we don't know why.
There's something provoking him that we're not seeing here.
I'm of the same opinion.
The myths are real. There was a war. And they're the last ones standing.
Am I the only one who finds this kind of music so cringe? Sorry to fucking stop it at the drop, but like, it's like Linkin Park Andy music. It's just so fucking lame. We gotta do what we have to do. Here we go.
Reaching for greatness because I'm built from it.
bows to who?
Nobody gon' stop for me. Here we go.
Kong bows to no one.
Okay, to be fair, or Limp Bizkit too, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit. To be fair, I think Godzilla would like actually wreck King Kong. Like, of course it would. Let's be real. Yeah, he's got a cannon, dude. Like, what the fuck does King Kong have? Nothing, dude. He didn't got no cannon. All he got is this fucking fat schlong. Okay, let's watch. Does the hijab oppress Muslim women?
If I'm choosing to dress the way I dress and that does not hurt anyone else, I don't think I'm gonna go to hell for it.
Don't be fucking r/atheist Andy, by the way. I'm gonna be really annoyed if you do that.
Hijab just pretty much stands for being modest with your appearance and letting people see you for who you are, your personality, and not just your looks.
When people think about hijab, they think of a piece of cloth.
But to me, it's like my identity.
I just haven't worn it yet because I don't think I've found a connection with it.
I took off my hijab probably almost a year ago. When I decided to take it off, I kind of escaped from the Muslim community a little bit.
Some of us, our upbringings, our mosques made us have difficult relationships with hijab. That's something that I had.
I do think that there are certain groups that wear the hijab that think that if you don't wear it, that you don't connect with Islam.
A lot of hijabis would pick on people who are not hijabis. They think that we're lesser than, or we're not as religious, or we're not praying 5 times a day. Like, no, we're doing that too. Can we be equal and not judge so much?
My name is Fatima. I am a student at UCLA studying anthropology and film.
I'm Sha'am. I'm also a student at UCLA, but I'm studying international development.
My name is Jenna, and I also am a pre-med biology student, and I work in a medical field too.
I'm Sabah, or Saba, depends on how you want to say it. I'm a senior in high school.
I'm Lean, and I'm a business analyst for a healthcare company.
I'm Marwa, or Marwa, and I do a lot of journalism and fundraising and really random.
There's like a 78% likelihood that all of these girls watch this stream, or at least like definitely have watched videos of mine. So watch what you fucking say.
Random things on social media.
I want you to step forward and take a seat if you agree. So the first prompt is, a hijabi woman is a better Muslim.
What if no one agrees? Oh.
I'm shocked I'm sitting here. When we read the Quran, we get our own interpretations of it. But it does say that in there, to only show your hands, face, and feet. If God says it, then I definitely think that is better. But I don't think the behavior of acting like you're better than someone, that I don't see that's right.
Can I have the disciples come forward?
I actually have so much to say about this.
Go for it, start.
Okay, I think a lot of people think that it's like a point system. Oh yes, hijab ding, you know, like next level. And I don't think God is like, this person wears the hijab, you're good to go, versus this person doesn't, so you're out. I think everything else that you do weighs in. I do know many hijabis that like do not follow anything else. And I know a lot of non-hijabis that are the most religious, you know, women that I've ever met.
I have a friend on like Instagram who dresses however she wants to dress, and she could rock it. She has a body for it.
Mashallah.
But she goes to every Friday prayer, and I'm like, dang, she's a better Muslim than I am.
Yeah. And I do find that like when it comes to behavior out of the Muslim community, I find that ritual takes precedent over behavior a lot of the times, to the point where like people are just outright mean to each other, but they don't realize that that's a sin too, you know? And when people say you're doing this wrong, it kind of like does deter your relationship a little bit, you know? You second guess even your relationship with Allah, which there should be no complications. It should just be pure.
There's so many things that are disregarded as sins because they don't seem, like even like with interest or whatever, they're like it's technically a sin that people just overlook. But when it comes to hijab, that's like everyone's main focus.
The scrutiny behind it is like insane.
I think the Muslims create chaos around it because they want to feel like they're the right ones doing it the right way.
But to your point, like let's talk about hijab, for example. You don't do that. Do you feel
Yeah,
like
I'm sinning right now. I know that. If you have to say, well, I'm more rebellious, you know you're doing something wrong, and that's shaitan trying to get you to normalize it. A lot of sins that we're doing, we're being normalized. We're in America. This is the most sinful country probably ever.
I so disagree with you about something. I disagree about making excuses.
These are my favorite people on the internet, and in general, by the way. Like, little woke hijabi fucking American Muslims are some of the funniest motherfuckers on the planet. They're funny as shit. They're incredibly kind. It's anecdotal for the most part. They love to shit on the conservative Muslims. Like, they love to shit on the conservative Muslims who fucking are like, whether they wear a hijab or not doesn't matter. Like the really weird fucking conservatives, and they're also super fucking woke.
Excuses. I'm not saying that this thing is okay and like.
We also have a very prominent member who is a woke hijab wearing moderator in here as well. I will not do the disrespect of, you know what, fuck it. Morgan, who's very famous for saying that eggs look like boba and that she wants to, what was it? I want to suck those eggs like boba. What the fuck was it? Someone has the link. Just, it's iconic. Suck the eggs out of my ovaries like boba. Oh, Jesus Christ. Woke? Yeah. No, she's woke as fuck.
Like, in America, it's all right. Actually, God didn't say it. No, but I am saying I don't think I'm going to go to hell for it. I am saying I'm aware that I'm acting like this, but I just don't think of God as a punisher because I think that affects my relationship with him. I think of him as a very, like, loving, kind of like, don't do this because I want to protect you, but I get why you have the temptation to do it.
So do you think people are going to hell if you don't think he's a punisher?
I think if your actions affect other people, personally, you are going to hell. And I know this can be nitpicked because like a man can look at you, I understand that, but you know, if I'm choosing to dress the way I dress and that technically like does not hurt anyone else, you know, it's just my personal choice, I don't think you're going to hell. I think it's such a personal relationship between me and, you know, God, Allah, you know, that kind of thing. It frustrates me when people get involved because I'm like, it's none of your business.
Right.
Let me do me, you know? I have not worn a hijab. I do think it's like a very loud image of Islam. I think it's a very clear representation of it. It can be terrifying because it's like you're a walking symbol at all times. But I also think it's a very clear symbol of strength. I think it takes a lot of strength to wear it. I don't know if I personally have that strength as of right now.
The hijab was created to protect women.
That's what it said in the Quran. It said, only show your hands, feet, and face, and it's supposed to protect you from the opposite sex.
Yeah, no, just like reflecting back, not just like wearing it as a headscarf, but like wearing long sleeves and like just dressing more modestly in general, I feel like it protected me from a lot.
I think it is like a two-way street. I think, you know, there are a lot of things mentioned for the other sex, lower your gaze and all that, but I do think it was meant as a protective measure in a certain way.
I do believe that the hijab does provide protection in some ways, but I don't think it was created for the purpose of protection.
So like, if you had to say it was created for something, Would you say it's more of a modesty thing, or what do you think it really represents then?
Well, I think that hijab is so complicated. He also uses the word khimar, which literally translates to headscarf. This isn't called a hijab, this is called a khimar. A khimar is the actual translation for the head covering that covers your chest. And there's a lot of translations that came in that have called this a scarf, and that's where the confusion has set in. And so they're like, well, it doesn't have to cover your, or veil, or...
It's just a piece of cloth. When I think of the hijab, I think of it more like the principle behind it, modesty and humility, and just like not being too outlandish. And so I don't think it's super gendered. I feel like the hijab is something that men in their way should be also observing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. A dude should not be checking me out. Like, I think the hijab like prevents that. Like, for example, without my hijab, I go to like a solid like 8 out of 10 appearance, like attraction-wise. And then with the hijab, I'm like, you know, a 2. And I think it does a really good job. Like when it makes me uglier, I feel like, good job, hijab, you know?
Yeah, I think we should just preface it like, Islam isn't the one dictating all this. It's literally like Muslim culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the way you wear your hijab. Like for example, the way that I'm wearing it right now is like a no-no to many people.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh my God, like you know that little chin is showing.
Like you can't wear pants.
Like I can't wear pants. Yeah.
They're saying chin now?
Like everything. The haram police will come for you for literally anything.
Haram police?
We talk about this forever.
Yeah. The chin though.
Have you ever been judged by hijabi women for not wearing hijab?
Yeah, by my sister actually. I wore it up in a bun, like bantu. Then she actually was talking behind my back in the Muslim community, talking like, oh, she's crazy, she's a whore. And I'm like, but you have stories too. Like, I don't get it.
Women are held to higher standards of modesty than men.
Can I run?
Where do I start?
Can we talk about how guys can like go out clubbing, drinking, like go out, like have girlfriends, and that's totally fine. Don't even bat an eye. When it comes to like girls doing the same thing, it's like,
they need to experience life.
Yeah, they need to experience life. It's okay.
They have to get it out of their system before they get married.
Yeah.
No one is like, oh, don't marry that guy because
Oh my God. 100%.
Yeah. A girl gets caught at the mall having a conversation with a store associate, and then someone's mom sees that girl and she's like, nobody marry that woman's daughter. I saw her at the mall with a boy. I just want to say I've never gone to a guy's photo and looked at the comments. No one's calling him a whore or a slut or you're going to hell for what you're wearing or your ankles are showing. Just the basic line of...
The funniest thing is like this is literally one step removed, or this is basically the Islamified version of incels. Like what they're talking about is basically exactly what motherfuckers on this website do to like female streamers and shit. It's just, again, this is why I always say there is a difference between like hating Islam and hating fucking conservatives. Okay? A lot of times, conservative people unironically and uncritically hate conservative Muslims. So if you're an r/atheist Andy, remember that you are literally fucking shitting, you are operating like conservatives do by shitting on conservative elements within a religion and within a group of people, and then encompassing the entirety of that religion as a monolith.
Of like clothing, we experience so much more.
I want to know what they think.
I know, I'm
because
so
I'm
curious.
Oh yeah. I disagree completely because it's more of a cultural thing. I think I took the prompt very literally and applied it to Islam. I don't think Islam necessarily lets guys get away with more. I mean, at the end of the day, like if they're gonna go out, like if they're gonna go live their best life, let them. Allah is the final judge. It's none of my business. I'm gonna stay out of it. And I think it's more cultural than religious.
Right.
So that's why I 100% disagree. But if it's cultural, I'll be here all day long.
I agree with you. I don't think it's religious at all. I was thinking culture.
Oh, I was thinking purely religious.
I think that throughout history, it's a patriarchal history.
Of course.
There are parts of the religion itself that are different for men and women in a way that it seems like it's because the men are the ones who are saying these things. People say like there's no female prophets. I'm not sure about that. I don't know. There could have been female prophets and just never had their stories told. The understanding of religion that we have as humans is purely based on the fact that humans are the ones telling us these stories about religion. I would say that I've seen a lot of like gendered things, very gendered to the point that we don't even explore people who are not fixed in those binaries, you know? We don't talk about queer Muslims, we don't talk about anything like that. I feel like there's just like, people are just too afraid to talk about that because they're afraid it's going to be questioning the religion.
Before 2016, I never thought I would be wearing hijab anytime soon.
It's so funny how many fucking liberals or r/atheist dudes are like, whoa, this is so weird. Why are they talking about this stuff in this way? It's like, you've literally never met Muslim people or know very few Muslim people and have no fucking opinion on it beyond like what fucking Sam Harris told you in his podcast. Okay? And Bill Maher and Sam Harris are the only reasons why you feel the way you do about Muslims in America. And that's precisely why you fucking lose your shit anytime I talk about the Pew study that showed that Muslim Americans are literally more tolerant than white evangelical Protestants. Anytime I say this, people are like, shut the fuck up. That's not true. There's also hella ex-Muslims that are cringe as fuck too, don't get me wrong. Anyway. The idea seed is hard to unplant. The hijab is a person of who is Muslim that see me as lesser human that's okay to take advantage of me, or even if it's think that infidel or is even think that I am infidel that should die. I know isn't correct, but I know can't remove the idea. Am not conservative? What? You think Muslims automatically assume you're an infidel and you need to die? What? Muslim men are forbidden from showing their belly button or knees, but no one cares about that? Yeah, because that's not as rigid as fucking your face, your hair, your ankles, and your wrists.
In my mind, I was like, oh, I'll get married, I'll have kids, and then like some point in my life, I'll throw it on, and I think...
Call me the fucking... Yo, call me a prophet if that's the case, bro. I don't think men should show their knees either. I think shorts are crazy. I think, especially in the workplace, like, no shorts. No shorts in the workplace, motherfucker. What are we doing here?
I think I was being guided in a wrong way when it came
Unless
to
you
the
got sexy
conversation
ass
around
legs,
hijab.
in which case it's all right.
Wearing hijab is a promise between you and God, a more difficult level of faith, but the struggle is part of the devotion.
A non-Muslim person can wear a hijab.
A non-Muslim can wear a hijab? What the fuck?
I think personally it depends. I know some like Christian women argue that the hijab is technically instilled in the Bible and that they want to wear it, and I feel like in that case it's totally okay. But when it comes to like fashion purposes or just wearing it just for the look, I feel like in that case I would disagree.
Well, I think that's actually awesome. If a non-Muslim tries to wear hijab and they try to cover or be modest, I think that's amazing because it is considered a good deed. And if that's what you want to do and it maybe leads you into Islam, alhamdulillah, you know, you're better than me right now, so good job.
I think I was looking at it more like if I had, let's say, a non-Muslim friend that wanted to come with me to, let's say, the mosque, and they put it on, I think that's acceptable.
Yeah, it's to be respectful.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
very, yeah.
I mean, you literally have to. You can't go in the mosque without putting it on. I don't know what's up with that. Alhamdulillah and all, but
I actually took this as more of a cultural appreciation versus appropriation type of topic. I think we can all agree we're going to define hijab as a lifestyle and cultural everything-wise type of statement. So I took it in as that. And like, I think someone brought up the friend coming to the masjid and think that's appreciation, not appropriation. Like Netflix shows, they have a hijab, take it off. Nuh-uh, babe. I have such an issue with that because again, it goes back to this whole idea of like, we have no freedom, we are in this closet 24/7, we're in a bubble, we live on, no. Just because you like a boy, you're not gonna take off your hijab for him.
Every hijabi that's in a show takes off her hijab. For a white guy, by the way, it's always white.
It's always the white guys.
It's always the white guys.
It's like, come on, dude. We are so much more than the girl who's trapped inside of her house. And she's like,
funny.
screw my religion.
That's not real. Muslim women are like misrepresented all the time.
There was a thing with Rihanna where she just put it on for a photo because it fit the
yeah.
That is something that frustrates me.
I didn't have a problem with that.
Really?
We do that. Like, come on, Muslim women do that. Why can't Rihanna do it?
No, that's appreciation to me.
Bro, she just loves Rihanna. That's so funny. She's just like, I'm a fan. She's just like, yo, come on, it's Rihanna.
She's wearing it out of respect for being at a masjid, and she just took
Not
a photo.
hijabis do that.
Yeah.
We do that.
That's what I'm
Like, I
saying.
put scarves on when I want to. I pose for it when I want to. Sometimes I do it because I'm around hijabis when I want to.
Well, I was just gonna say, it's just because they have such a privilege where they can take it off whenever.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
we can't.
I just remember the greatest example of all time because, okay, so
You absolutely have some level of Muslim blinders on. Why? Because I said factually correct statements about how American Muslims are more tolerant against the LGBT community than white evangelical Protestant Christians. I'm not like additionally tolerant to Muslim people, or I'm just the right amount of fucking tolerant to people of all backgrounds and all religions, as long as they're not fucking conservative. That's it. And every time people say this shit, it is their own personal fucking anger that they have, their own personal background. I've never, ever in a million fucking years defended like Muslim people who say, you know, you can't teach kids about LGBT. Like, you should not do LGBT education in schools or whatnot. Just because someone's Muslim doesn't change that fucking reality. Like, you're still a piece of shit. Okay? What did you say? Source of that claim, Pepela? Oh, yeah. Is it possible to argue with conservatives this is all facts is fake? Just make up fake facts. No, I believe you have a level of acceptance of anti-women aspects of Islam. I so many things agree with your opinions, and mine aren't informed by Sam Harris. What do you mean anti-women aspects of Islam? You're literally seeing a bunch of Muslim women who straight up are not wearing a hijab, and a bunch of women who are wearing a hijab, and they're having a fucking conversation around like whether not wearing a hijab is anti-woman or not. I used to have a way more fucking aggressive stance. When I was growing up in Turkey, I was a way bigger r/atheist dipshit, okay? When I was growing up in Turkey, I despised people who wear hijabs. I did. I thought, like, you know, they're lesser. I thought they were dumb. I thought they were fucking, you know, blinded and crazy and you know, belief in religion is so stupid. I had all of those fucking childish opinions, okay? I had all the childish POVs that everyone has, every person who has like gone through that period of time has gone through. Okay? I was fucking wrong. I grew up. I realized that there are plenty of women who wear the hijab on their own, especially in a country like America, or even in a country like fucking Turkey for the most part. Like, there are sure conservative assholes and like really religious dipshits, but their daughters oftentimes escape escape that oppressive approach. But some people are still forced to wearing a hijab. But it's not always a force. It's not a forced position, especially in fucking America. Okay, it literally takes more to wear a fucking hijab in the United States than not wear one. You get that, right? Like, people shit on you. People look at you. It's like a fucking beacon for bigotry. So you bet your fucking ass these people want to wear it. When you're so fucking woke, you end up turning around and like literally telling women what they can and can't wear is kind of weird. Anyway. All talk and no debate. You're afraid of atheists? Pepe Smugger? What? You'll never debate an atheist? I've debated plenty of fucking atheists. Hey, the young punk, how about you debate it? Ew. Ugh. There's nothing wrong with being an atheist, but there's everything wrong with being a